What? Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome to the Crypto Mining Morning Show that we are doing at 1 p.m. in the afternoon because I slept all day. Hello! I'm not going to lie. That drive to go get the 6500 XT and then staying up basically extremely late testing it, I'm getting a little too old to pull that sort of thing off. I know age is just a construct, but my cells regenerating is not a construct. And it apparently takes me a lot more time these days to fully recover from late night testing, etc. It's probably also why I don't play as many video games anymore, because I need to sleep. The test bench is running in the background. That was the screen at the beginning. Basically, there's a 6900 XT, a 6600, and the G Pro 060 Sapphire, all mining stock out of the box settings. There is no overclocking going on them right now because I had to run out to the farm last night. So we'll talk about that a little bit. When I get into essentially the mining profitability, of course, we are going to first cover all of the new miner releases. We actually have two new miner releases, a big one from, not a big one, but a small one from Gminer, but Gminer hasn't been updated in a while. And then we have another one from Team Black Miner. We're also going to be talking about Russia, talking about banning mining for cryptocurrency, its possible impacts on the industry, and why I think it'll ultimately be a positive thing, at least for the rest of the world, Western miners probably. We're also going to be talking about the leaks for the Intel 3070, or sorry, Intel 3070 Ti, the Intel Arc Alchemist, and how it is close to 3070 Ti performance, much better than I was expecting. We also, on that one, which is interesting, they have confirmed there will be no mining limits. And in addition to that, very, very low power consumption. So Intel's coming out with pretty much performance at very low voltages on not only ASICs, but GPUs as well. And this is looking good. To top it off, Intel is also moving basically investing into making chips in the US, specifically in Ohio. So not only are we getting uncapped GPUs from Intel, we're getting ASIC miners from Intel, and we're finally moving some of the manufacturing to the United States in America. All incredibly positive news in my humble opinion, and I can't wait for all of this to actually take into effect. We're going to talk about it all, of course, after the ad for the day, which is brought to you by yours truly. Today's sponsor is myself. To support the channel, click the join button below the video and you will get access to our privately hosted Rocket Chat. Selecting the $1.99 option will get you access, and after that you need to head over to the membership tab, scroll down, and expand out your membership perks. Find the section for connecting on social media, and in that section there will be a secret registration URL to join Rocket Chat, where you can sign up to enjoy talking with other cryptocurrency enthusiasts and miners without spammers, scammers, or bots. And we're back. you guys don't mind hitting that join button, that's how we'll need to be supported through this bear market. We're going to be talking about whether I think we're in a bear market or not and what my strategies were. I made a short-term strategy move and it wasn't that great, but let's get through the new miner releases for the day, starting off with Gminer. Bam! We got version 2.75 here. Here are the changes. Major performance improvement for light hash rate GPUs on ETH hash algorithm. So obviously this will be the latest update to anything for light hash rate GPUs from miners. So definitely going to be worth checking out. Improved auto tuning for light hash rate GPUs and change developer fee to 1% on the ETH hash algorithm. All major ETH hash miners have 1% fee. I think they had a lower fee before then. Now, does that fee compensate for the improvement in the light hash rate realm? You know, that's pretty much what we're going to be asking. Obviously, I'm excited for finally another improved light hash rate possibility here. They've been kind of stagnant for a while. The holidays seem to have been when not only myself took way too much time off and almost killed the channel single-handedly by not producing enough content, but developers were also taking a ton of time off and almost single-handedly killed the progress in light hash rate unlocks. Maybe we'll see a better light hash rate unlock. Jokes aside, let's talk about Team Black Miner 1.43. Or is this miner a joke? I don't know. I feel like it's a joke. Here you go. First fix is fixed fan speed percent and missing stats for some cards on AMD, and then added 7 new CUDA kernels that can give speed up on some cards. Ran auto tune mode to check. I'm not a big fan of Team Black Miner personally, so I don't know. I know some are. They seem to go along the lines of like Phoenix Miner, where there's inflated reports in the dashboard, and I don't like inflated reports because then I can't really tell what I should be getting on the pool. It just bugs me. All right. So, as you guys are aware, we had some cryptocurrency crashing issues, I suppose. You can take a look at it here. Bitcoin's down 10%, Ethereum's down 13.55%, and Binance BNB is down 10% as well. Cardano down 13%, Solana down 10%, XRP down 10%, Polkadot down 18%. Doge down 18%. Avalanche down 18%. It's a rough one out there. Shiba Inu down 20%. There is a trend here, though, that you guys should be paying attention to. Actually, Chainlink down 21%. I wouldn't have expected that. I really honestly wouldn't have. Crow down 12%. That pretty much makes sense. Initially, what usually happens, things like Crow, the TRX token, etc., will go up in price, and then they'll dump when people liquidate it to US dollars. So last night when this dump first started happening, Crow actually went up. Like it went up in price for a second, and then it shot down. I don't know. I'm sure traders catch those little extras and make some extra money off of it. The trend for like the biggest downfalls, Dogecoin at 20%, Shiba Inu at 20%. Dot's a little surprising, but not as much. I feel like Dot's been falling behind Solana and Cardano. Personally, even though I really do like the fact that it uses Rust, I like their documentation, etc. Unfortunately, if we're talking about things that are getting used a lot more, Solana and Cardano obviously getting used a lot more. Ethereum clearly getting used a lot more. This is why, though, when we look at these kinds of crashes, like the patterns when you start going into these bears, is that your meme coins are going to dump first, and they're going to dump harder. So I just bring that up just so that you guys can be aware of it. We do see a pretty big dump in Polygon Matic as well. I have some opinions on that from yesterday, I suppose, that you guys can go watch, as far as we should be having a clip up of covering EIP 1559 for Matic. I think that news on top of the crash kind of Did it. So the number one thing that I guess mass media or traditional media is saying affected this particular crash is going to be covered in this article by WCCF Tech. I just pulled this article. It's by Jason Wilson. It came out, let's see, yesterday. Russia, the world's third largest crypto miner, to ban both GPU mining and usage of crypto. So let's get into this today. Russia's central bank announced the possible banning, that's a keyword, possible banning, of the use and any sorts of crypto mining, GPU, etc., or of cryptocurrencies on Russian territory. So consider the source here. WCCF Tech is a tech website. They focus a lot on PC gaming. And so when you see the title essentially say GPU mining, it's important to note that what we're actually talking about here is any sort of crypto mining is what is stated in the article. So if you read by the title, you would be like, oh, just GPUs are being banned, not ASICs. But if you go into and dig into this, it does appear that they're talking about ASICs as well. So always consider the source. And somebody asked me to do this for you guys. Is that good? Is that good for you guys? Is that better? I think so. All right. So let's get into it. It's a little harder to read this way, actually. It's okay. I'll adjust. So the ban on crypto mining and usage continues to travel worldwide, from Asia's crackdowns last year to the United States' concerns on severe risks with digital currencies and the possibility of sabotage to monetary and financial institutions and systems. You have to keep in mind here, guys, that we have a majority of countries that want to control let's see, how do I explain this? The countries that value servitude over sovereignty are the first to act on the banning of cryptocurrency. And that should tell you everything you need to know about cryptocurrency from the perspective of people that want to obtain control. All right. I think that's the best way I can state that. Initially, the Russian government contended against digital currencies for possible uses in terrorism and money laundering. What do? The first time whenever they want to remove the rights of the individual, they demonize whatever is enabling those rights. This is just how it functions. So whenever you see them targeting something and saying, oh, well, bad stuff can be done on it, then you know. We're talking about a government that's led by a guy that slaughtered a lot of people too. So consider the source once again. The central banks of Russia states the theoretical markets predominantly defined crypto's rapid shift, noting that cryptocurrency showed similarities of an economic pyramid, cautioning of probable swells in the financial markets, jeopardizing the economic strength of its citizens. The Russian central bank suggested preventing any financial body from enacting any business with digital currency, instructing to halt and dissuade any transactions involving the sale and purchase of crypto to finance fiat money. This order also includes any exchanges that work primarily in cryptocurrency. Binance, one of the largest cryptocurrency exchange systems, plans to open dialogue with Russia's central bank to protect crypto enthusiasts and users. Here's a quote from the head of the Binance Financial Stability Department, Elizaveta Danilova. I'm going to get better at these things one day. For now, there are no plans to ban cryptocurrency similar to the experience of China. The approach we have proposed will suffice. Right now, there are no current restrictions on owning any cryptocurrency. This ban will strain active users who, as a community, have amassed an annual transaction volume upwards of 5 billion. Okay, so pretty high up there. Joseph Edwards of crypto firm Solrise Group stated that the report would not hurt crypto mining Russians. Moscow, like Beijing, is always rattling its saber over crypto bans, but Russia has never been a pillar of any facet of the industry in the same way as China has been at times. I think that's talking about the separation between the government and the miners themselves. Correct me if I'm wrong. And I think what we had is essentially because of the way the Chinese government functions, they are much more integrated into the companies that operate within their borders. And Russia doesn't quite have that same control. Whether or not they want to have that control is a whole other discussion. The Central Bank of Russia's recent report could also arise from the energy consumption plaguing parts of the country, including Kosovo, where Serbian minorities have continued to enact revenge on the governing body by refusing to pay for necessities such as energy costs. The Kosovo government has funded those areas due to the glooming human rights issues that would unearth from neglecting the individual's needs. All right. So there you go, guys. Essentially, this, I guess, this article and this, there are a lot of people are going to call FUD. It's just Russia throwing more FUD at it, trying to get in cheap, whatever. As far as all of that goes, that'll be your typical trader analysis of it. Now, historically, on this channel, we've covered a million times the possibility of bans happening in various different countries, including China. For the longest time, even on the last time when China said they were going to ban cryptocurrency mining and cryptocurrencies, I was like, oh, they're always saying that. They're never going to do it. That's how I kind of felt about it. It's just China fudding again, whatever. Well, they actually did do it. So is there a possibility that Russia does do this? Yes. Will they be as effective as China would be the conversation that needs to be had. They clearly aren't even effective enough to make people pay for their power in certain areas. Of course, I'm not, I guess, a geopolitical expert or anything along those lines, whatever. It's more of just a poke of fun of like, I don't think they have near as much control over their people or the people within their borders as China does. That's just how I feel about it. So even though they may put like some sort of law or rule or ban in there at the bank level and the government level, does that translate over into reduced hash power within the borders of Russia? Maybe, maybe not. At any rate, if there is a reduced amount of hash rate, it will be good for people that are not within the borders of Russia, you know, meaning that we would be able to potentially mine more at a lower difficulty or buy cheap parts. Of course, I thought we were going to get cheaper parts from China for ASICs over stateside with the ban over there, but that doesn't seem to be proving true, at least yet. And we'll kind of talk about my strategies here in a little bit too surrounding buying equipment, because obviously some things are happening that are going to adjust that. We do have some really fun tech news that's more fun than talking about, you know, Russia and bans of cryptocurrency. And that is going to be a leaked benchmark of the Intel Arc Alchemist discrete desktop GPU. And this is crazy. So this is coming from Video Cards. They are saying that it shows 3070 Ti performance, which is absolutely nuts. The Intel Xe HPG card with 512 execution units and 2.1 gigahertz clock speed spotted. A benchmark new entry featuring Intel's highly anticipated Arc Alchemist card has been spotted over at the C Software website. According to this result, which was first spotted by tum_APISAK, the card features the full 4096 core count of the Intel DG2512EU silicon. I assume that means that this card will be essentially the top of the line coming from Intel, just to be clear. This card was tested on a desktop Coffee Lake S platform, which suggests this is indeed a discrete desktop graphics card. The data shows it comes with a 2.1 gigahertz clock speed, which could be either the base clock or boost clock, depending on how this architecture operates in such benchmarks. Furthermore, the card is listed with 12.8 gigabytes of memory, which is probably just an error showing a partially allocated 16 gigabyte frame buffer. After all, the Arc Alchemist flagship was expected to feature 16 gigabytes of GDDR6 memory across a 256-bit bus. this thing gets a little more interesting when looking at the performance of the GPU's general purpose processing data. The card actually scored higher, and this is interesting too because we're talking about probably something that is pretty relevant to cryptocurrency mining, just to be clear. The card actually scored higher than NVIDIA's RTX 3070 Ti GPU with a score of 9,017.52 is that megapixels? It is 7.7% faster than the NVIDIA card, which only scored 8,369.51 megapixels a second. Both cards are trading places in different precision tests. For instance, Arc Alchemist appears to be faster in half float, double float, and quad float tests, but it loses to single float tests. Ooh, baby. Okay. This thing might be a mining beast, boys. This model, which has not been named, will be available as mobile and desktop SKUs. Rumors suggest it might clock up to 2.5 gigahertz and feature around 225 watts of typical power. It was speculated to compete against the RTX 3070 graphics card with a chance of reaching 3070 Ti performance. NVIDIA knows this very well, which is why the company has been preparing an updated 3070 Ti. We're going to get a 3070 Super? Son of a bitch. The card has already been pictured and leaked by YouTuber Moore's Law is Dead. He was among the first to claim it might be able to compete with the 3070 series. Intel Alchemist will officially become available this quarter, but we might need to wait a bit for more for the desktop series to launch because Intel has thus far only shown mobile OEM systems with Arc. Everything about this GPU screams that it's going to be good at mining cryptocurrency. We're talking about a 256-bit bus. We're talking about specifically general purpose processing data being better than the 3070 Ti. We're talking about 16 gigabytes of video memory. We're talking about the faster GDDR6 being installed in this. And we're talking about better half float, double float, and quad float tests. To me, everything here is pointing at a pretty dang good opportunity for mining, depending on the price point. Let's go ahead. It gets better. More Intel news. Let me see if I can get this zoomed in. More Intel news. Intel is to invest $20 billion into 2 new chip factories in Ohio. I'm pretty excited about this one. Intel announces next U.S. site with landmark investment in Ohio. Intel will invest more than $20 billion to build 2 new factories and establish a new epicenter for advanced chip making in the Midwest. This is coming from Licking County, Ohio, January 21st, 2022. Intel today announced plans for an initial investment of more than $20 billion in the construction of 2 new leading-edge chip factories in Ohio. The investment will boost or help boost production to meet the surging demands for advanced semiconductors, powering a new generation of innovative products from Intel and serving the needs of foundry customers as a part of the company's IDM 2.0 strategy. Quote, today's announcement is monumental news for the state of Ohio. Intel's new facilities will be transformative for our state, creating thousands of good-paying jobs, which we so desperately need. This is awesome. In Ohio, manufacturing strategically vital semiconductors, often called chips. Advanced manufacturing, research and development, and talent are part of Ohio's DNA, and we are proud that the chips which power the future will be made in Ohio by Ohioans, said Ohio Governor Mike DeWine. Ohio's definitely needs this right now, as far as like what I've been looking at, seeing from them for a long time. So this is great. To support the development of the new site, Intel pledged an additional $100 million towards the partnerships with educational institutions to build a pipeline of talent and bolster research programs in the region. Quote, today's investment marks another significant way Intel is leading the effort to restore U.S. semiconductor manufacturing leadership. Intel's actions will help build a more resilient supply chain and ensure reliable access to advanced semiconductors for years to come. Intel is bringing leading capability and capacity back to the United States to strengthen the global semiconductor industry. These factories will create a new epicenter for advanced chip making in the U.S. that will bolster Intel's domestic lab-to-fab pipeline and strengthen Ohio's leadership in research and high tech, said Pat Gelsinger, CEO of Intel. All right, let me go ahead and can you mute? Thank you. All right, so as the largest single private sector investment in Ohio history, the initial phase of the project is expected to create 3,000 Intel jobs and 7,000 construction jobs over the course of the build, and to support tens of thousands of additional local long-term jobs across a broad ecosystem of suppliers and partners, spanning nearly 1,000 acres in Licking County, just outside of Columbus. The mega site can accommodate a total of 8 chip factories, also known as fabs, as well as support operations and ecosystem partners. At full build out, the total investment in the site could grow to as much as $100 billion over the next decade, making it one of the largest semiconductor manufacturing sites in the world. Planning for the first 2 factories will start immediately, with construction expected to begin in late 2022. Production is expected to come online in 2025, when the fab will deliver chips using the industry's most advanced transistor technologies. Ohio will be the home to Intel's first new manufacturing site location in 40 years. In addition to Intel's presence in Ohio, the investment is expected to attract dozens of ecosystem partners and suppliers needed to provide local support for Intel's operations. From semiconductor equipment and material suppliers to a range of service providers. Investments made by these suppliers will not only benefit Ohio, but will have a significant economic impact on the broader U.S. semiconductor ecosystem. As part of today's announcement, Air Products, Applied Materials, LAM Research, and Ultra Clean Technology have indicated plans to establish a physical presence in the region to support the build-out of the site, with more companies expected in the future. Quote, "The impact of this megasite investment will be profound. A semiconductor factory is not like other factories. Building this semiconductor megasite is akin to building a small city, which brings forth a vibrant community of supporting services and suppliers. Ohio is an ideal location for Intel's U.S. expansion because of its access to top talent, robust existing infrastructure, and a long history as a manufacturing powerhouse." Yay, more manufacturing in Ohio again. Finally, I don't know. The scope of the pace of Intel's expansion in Ohio, however, will depend heavily on funding from the CHIPS Act. Whew, this goes on. We have a lot, but I think we get the idea. This is great news. So we've been talking about it for a while. Essentially, I think it was definitely made very apparent at from the pandemic that we have supply chain issues, especially coming in from China, especially when we're talking about, of course, chips in general, chip shortages. Chip shortages are affecting the automotive industry, as well as, of course, IT and infrastructure just in general, and is a huge hindrance. So we needed more factories, clearly. Now, getting stateside factories also removes the risk for basically the manipulation or persecution of people at lower levels, which we have seen in some factories, of course, within China. So basically, creating more jobs for better paying wages for American citizens, also having closer access just for all of the Americas. This is good. So we're talking about Canada will benefit, Mexico will benefit, everybody, will benefit from there. I mean, we could even say everybody outside of China, right? This is definitely something that's been kind of needed for a long time, and hopefully what it means is that we'll have better chip supply coming in 2025, I suppose. For the short term, I don't think that we will see anything, right? I think there's going to be obviously like we're still waiting on 2 factories to be completed and they're not due until 2023. And I don't think that we'll have chip supply shortage alleviation until probably 2024, 2025. Then this factory will be stood up and then everything should sort out from there. And that's the best I can tell from everything I've heard, read, etc. We also know that Intel is manufacturing a lot for mining between the GPUs and the ASICs. Let's talk about mining profitability for the day. It's terrible. All right. So I put 5 more rigs on. I put everything on ETH last night when it started dumping. Reasoning being is usually when the market starts to dump, people are trying to liquidate so fast that they don't care about fees, and fees go through the roof. While that happened for a little bit, I think I missed the boat, unfortunately. We currently have an estimated daily earnings of 0.0787 ETH with basically 6 gigahash online. Yeah. So in like my Hive portal, we show 6 gigahash. We have 6 gigahash online and we're only doing $220 a day in revenue. It's getting rough out there for me, boys. Getting rough. Maybe I should have stayed on Ton. The play was this. Like I said, what I expected was we had that initial little dump and then I was like, okay, we're going to move everything to ETH because if it dumps further and people trying to liquidate, then the fees are going to get driven higher. I have proven to be wrong, I think, at this point. I probably should have stayed on the split that I was on, which was a mix of Ergo and Ton coin and Ethereum. That being said, I guess we'll just ride it out for a little bit, mining Ethereum, because there is a possibility of course, this dumping further, according to a lot of trade analysis, etc. What do I personally think is the worst case possibility? Is that we go into the traditional super cycle and by March we end up basically at previous cycles all-time highs. So what would those be? That would end up being, and this would be before a bear market, it would happen sometime in March. We would hit lows of about like 20K on Bitcoin, possibly down to 19,000. On Ethereum, we would have lows of 1,100. Now, a lot of traders and stuff like that, and I'm sure people in chat right now are like, that's not even possible. It's not what would happen. Look, I'm just judging it based off of the previous super cycles in my experience, not trading analysis and not taking into account any of the current institutional investments and so on that has gone on. I'm saying worst case, if we follow the exact same cycle, we typically would see it hit previous all-time highs as the new cycle's lows into a bear market. So if you want to prepare for like worst case scenario and you're purchasing ASICs for Bitcoin or whatever GPUs for Ethereum, you may want to start calculating out some things and make sure you can survive based on your power costs. The best thing you can do as a GPU miner is find a spot where your power costs are reduced. And that is what I would suggest doing now. You should have always been doing that, but to survive things like this and crashes, it's going to be paramount. The weak will get pushed out. The people that aren't doing the work and the research to find the cheap power, the people that aren't working to basically figure all this out on their own, they're going to fail. That'll be good news for the people that stick around. I've already failed once at this. We'll see if I fail a second time. Maybe third time's the charm, but we'll see. All right. The reason I can speak to some of this, like I said, though, is because I do fail. And that's another point of just in general, some life advice is, don't worry about if you fail, just try again, right? You don't necessarily even have to try the same thing again, but it's more important to try things and fail than it is to succeed, because that'll build and strengthen your success in the future. All right. It's a learning experience, and we're about to get into some real learning. That is for sure. We are about to get into some real learning. All right. So let's talk about purchasing equipment right now. we can do a little bit of this by, let's go ahead and take a look at mining profitability for the 3090 here before we get into it, right? Let me pull up Toncoin as well. Now Toncoin 4.4, so that would be, yeah, $4.12. And then ETH would be $3.90 after power. Cero, $2.51 after power. Ycash, $2.39. Ryo, $2.40. This is a dead coin. This is a dead coin. I don't know about Tent. CCX, $2.29. Cortex, $2.15. Conflux, $1.98. Flux, $2.01. All right. What you're seeing here is the worst profitability for the 3090 pretty much ever in its existence since it released. Since the RTX 3090 released, we have never seen profits this low on that particular GPU. Current retail for this GPU is something like $2,100 if you're purchasing it through a Newegg drop or a Best Buy drop or somewhere retail. Third party, you're talking about buying it for basically like $3,000, which you definitely don't want to do because you're talking about nearly a 1,000 day return on your investment. There are much better deals within cryptocurrency even now during the bear market. So what am I looking at as far as investing and purchasing more GPUs from my particular farm? Obviously, we got one in, and it's actually running over here on the bench right now. So I am still purchasing some GPUs, or I was. Now, when I went to Micro Center, I was kind of let in on a couple things that were happening there. Then what I saw was, of course, Bitsby Trippin's latest video where they're cleaning up RX 580s for resale. And basically what I have wind of is essentially limits lifting on AMD GPUs in a couple weeks as far as purchase limits. Massive supply of AMD GPUs stacking up because they're priced too high, right? GPUs, AMD Polaris GPUs coming onto the used market as the farms start their preparation for the typical super cycle, which is going to happen. So you're going to have Polaris cards flooding the market. And essentially the crypto market being down. What does all of that mean? It means that we're essentially going to be pausing for a second on upgrading equipment. First of all, luckily I kind of hit the max. I'm upgrading power right now. So I'm at max power capacity in my particular farm. So I can kind of take the pause here. But I don't suggest, and this isn't financial advice, but I don't suggest purchasing GPUs for the next couple weeks. I think you should wait. I think that you're going to see a huge influx of RX 6000 series on the new market, and I think you're going to see a huge influx of Polaris GPUs on the used market. Now, talking about ASICs, will the same thing relay over to ASICs? And more than likely, yes. The ones that are specifically that you shouldn't buy is like an L3 Plus. L3 Pluses are going to come down a lot. First of all, the big coins that take a huge hit right now in the market like this is going to be Dogecoin. It always does. And that is directly impacting the profitability of the L3 Plus. They are by no means worth more than, I don't know, 500, something around there. And they're going to hit that price. So pause, think about it before you purchase some stuff, and just kind of wait until we figure out what's going on. If you go to the Micro Center website right now, you will notice essentially that pretty much every store has a stock of every version of the RX 6000 series out right now. And yeah, so pretty much every store has 6000 series in stock at Micro Center right now. I think the pricing will have to come down because it's exorbitant. You can't really, like, the best deal there. Let me see. So the best deal there is the Gigabyte Eagle triple fan, which I just got this one in, by the way. It's what's on the test bench for $429. So if we took a look at that, which is like 29 mega hash a second, 80 watts at the wall, that's 99 cents a day after power. I think these come down even more. That's what I think happens. So, not financial advice. What am I doing? I'm giving you a couple weeks to see what happens as far as hardware purchasing goes. In the meantime, to capitalize as a miner on basically selling off and basically high transactions, I'm going to be putting everything on Ethereum for the most part. I have one rig I'm going to build that I'm going to put on something else. We'll talk about that later, primarily because it can't mine Ethereum. And then we're probably going to play the lotto on a couple things like that. So overall, what I am doing, not financial advice, you don't have to copy me. I'm not purchasing GPUs at the current prices. It doesn't make much sense to do so because I can take the capital that I have right now and probably here in just a couple weeks be able to purchase brand new GPUs right from Micro Center, unlimited for reduced prices. Or potentially if I was super duper 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 new, have the potential of buying used Polaris GPUs at extremely low prices, already flashed with mining BIOSes, ready to plug in and go 30 mega hash a second at 90 to 100 watts. And that's coming from, of course, like I said, we do know that Bits is about to be listing a bunch of used RX 580s, which tells me that other farms are doing the same. And then as far as ASICs, do I want to move into ASICs? And the answer to that is yes and no. So a part of the problem with moving into ASICs is that the per hash watt really makes it to where you got to upgrade power a lot. I'd love about a 50-50 split in revenue between ASICs and GPUs. The type of ASIC that I would be going for would just be SHA-256. Bitcoin mining is not going to go anywhere. All other mining could go somewhere, essentially, right? So while you don't make as much, right, compared to like a Cadena miner or something along those lines, I have no guarantee that Cadena is not going to move algorithms or turn off or whatever. Much more likely that the SHA-256 miners will just keep going forever. Now, what would make you want to wait on SHA-256 miners? Well, competition coming into the market. We have Jack Dorsey's Block working on an ASIC miner. And in addition, we also have Intel working on an ASIC miner. And as we reported, that Intel ASIC miner will be the lowest voltage, lowest power consuming ASIC miner on the market. And because of that, it might be wise to go ahead and wait a little bit on that one in particular. So that's where I'm at with the entire market as far as purchasing strategies that I'm using and what I'm going to be waiting on. Like I said, I'm kind of in a really good position in the fact that I did max my power usage out right beforehand. Unfortunately, part of the problem is the revenue is really far down and the revenue is probably only going to go further down, right? And we'll just have to feel it out, because I think it's going to get a little bumpy before it gets better, and then it always gets better, all right? If I survive this bear market, though, I'll be super happy. So let's see if we can do it together. Get that low power, higher hash rate, continue on. Let's take a look at mining pool profits for the day. Last 90 days, mining pool hub in first, flex pool in second, and crazy pool in third. The last 60 days, mining pool hub in first, flex pool in second, and crazy pool in third. Last 30 days, we have crazy pool in first, mining pool hub in second, and flex pool in third. Last 21 days, ZET in first, crazy pool in second, and flex pool in third. Last 14 days, 2 miners in first, mining pool hub in second, and ZET in third. Last 7 days, ZET in first, 2 miners in second, and Ether mine in third. Last 3 days, ZET in first, Crazy Pool in second, and Ether mine in third. And for the last day, ZET in first with Crazy Pool in second and Ether mine in third. We can also check ETC now, or soon, I think. Yeah, now. But, you know, we're not going to, we can start doing that, I guess, at some point. Let's take a look and see if anything has dropped off any of the networks other than price. Bitcoin difficulty has gone up while the price has gone down. Whew, it's rowdy. Ethereum staying about the same. Flux is staying about the same. Price is going down though. Take a look at Ergo. Ergo staying about the same as opposed to yesterday. Raven coin difficulty is going down and the hash rate is dropped by half a terahash. So there you go. It's getting hot in this room. I got to stop mining in here. We got to take these out. There's a reason I got a mining farm. All right, let's get into questions and answers. I'm going to sit down here and hang out with y'all. So, questions go. Super chats first priority because they're the easiest to read. At Son of a Tech will highlight it in orange in chat, making it easier for me to read. So please do that, and then we'll be able to get through this. I'm sure there'll be some questions and stuff. I think I tried to answer the big ones that everybody would have, at least for now. There we go. All right. All right, Dr. Bootygood. Well, look at that name. At Son of a Tech, does your MC have the 1 per month limit? So that's what I'm talking about. Those limits, I think, are all going to be lifted in the next couple weeks. Within the next couple weeks. Please put at Son of a Tech in your questions so I can read them easier. Vodka Net says, what would you recommend for test bench hardware? A beefy power supply, 1,000 watts or so. Then I use the Praxis benches because they're wet benches and they're really easy. You can see behind me, it has like the reservoirs on the side, and I can just swap in different blocks, and then that's got like a D5 pump on it or whatever. So if I want to try to push and overclock for fun. That being said, it's not really necessary for mining. Like if you're mining, just, use one of your frames and call it a day. So, that's kind of where I would be at from there. Let's see. Thanks, Tactics. Glad you enjoyed the show. Indy Ferez says Satoshi equals China government to move finance power to the east. Doubtful. Xcraft LLC says, as Son of a Tech, do you think we should hedge mine Flux? I think so. As always, the theory goes that if you mine what's most profitable, you can just trade for what you want to hedge. So basically, because the value of Ethereum is more than the value of Flux, then you would just be able to trade for more Flux if you mined Ethereum. That doesn't always prove to be true, but for the most part can be translated into that. Mining King says, at Son of a Tech, can you get a business rate in residential area or no due to zoning. As far as I know, no due to zoning. That's why you rent a place. And then there's some strategies you can utilize when looking for a place on commercial rates, commercial power rates. And one of those, just to give you an idea, is a place where there's already some form of industry. And I'll tell you why. So let's say it could be a quarry, it could be a manufacturing facility, something big enough to where like the town that's around it really runs off of that industry. And the reason you want to look for that is because essentially the negotiation of the power rates is going to go through whatever that industry is. Whether it's like, for example, there's like a Toyota manufacturing facility outside of San Antonio. And what that ends up doing is making it to where it's less likely that they're going to increase the power cost because it affects the bottom line of basically the biggest industry provider, the biggest capital provider of the area. So you're going to protect basically your commercial rate a lot better if you find something like that. Like I said, it has to be something big that uses a lot of power. And that's going to keep your commercial rate low. What it happens though, is if you decide to live there, usually they raise the residential rates a little bit higher, right? So the residential rates will go up to compensate, but they're going to keep that low to basically, appease the industry that is there. So look for something like that. Hopefully that hint helps you out a little bit. Thanks for the Super Chats. Elliot Hanford says, thanks for your channel and others for the knowledge acquired. I now work full-time on large mining operations, maintaining ASIC miners and GPU rigs. Awesome, Elliot. I am jelly. Hopefully I can build a big one and hire someone like you one day. Benz310 says, for $4.99, thank you, sir. What makes the Turing GPU better than any other GPU architecture in terms of flux? Okay, so that would probably be, that would be the clock speed in conjunction with the GDDR6X, because Flux still does use, of course, a little bit of memory. So it's a combination of the two. If it was pure core, you would see essentially the RX 6000 series be beating it out. But because it's a mix of the two and the core clock is close enough, the 3080 kind of compensates there. The thing that hasn't been leveraged in mining that needs to start being leveraged, I think, especially from the AMD perspective, is going to be basically leveraging Infinity Cache. Now, a lot of people have told me that that's not possible. So maybe it's not, maybe it is. I think it could be because what you see on the stats, for example, is total memory bandwidth and then another section for effective memory bandwidth. And so if you could figure out how to utilize that effective or leverage that, use a miner to leverage that effective memory bandwidth, or sorry, max memory bandwidth or whatever. But I don't know. I don't build GPUs and I don't program miners. I'm a script kiddie, so I don't know anything about coding enough to get going. Let's see. Mr. Hayes, I think I already talked about tips for finding cheap electricity. Gettr Blaze says, why are AMD cards so unstable and drivers crappy? After the merge, they'll be less competitive. I think the drivers have gotten really good. The reason why you may consider them unstable is because you go online and you Google the best overclock. And while your initial overclock looks and appears to be functioning properly, it's really too much for the GPU and you need to back it off. I don't have, the thing is like also with Radeon GPUs, you just have a lot more things that you can change as the user. While on the NVIDIA GPUs, pretty much they've locked you out of doing anything you want to do at this point. And really AMD's starting to follow suit with the RX 6000 series, unfortunately. So, I'm not a fan of the direction. I would rather have the instability, but also be able to write my own memory timings and do all of that like we used to be able to do. That's what I would prefer. But yeah. Bossman says, at Son of a Tech, can you go and buy brand name GPUs, and is there a difference? I don't know what you mean by that. Ertana says, at Son of a Tech, when are you going to start the Son of a Tech gaming instead of mining? Oh, tomorrow. Titan Nightmare says, at Son of a Tech, thank you. UPS is dropping off my new graphics card right now. Nice. What'd you end up picking up, Titan? Liquidation says, at Son of a Tech, is there an alternative besides NiceHash and Binance? I have a small farm and to get a payout from regular pools takes forever as it's 0.5 ETH. I mean, yeah, so, I mean, Ethermine, you can watch my guide on how to enable the Polygon Matic payouts. You also have 2 miners with Nano and BTC payouts. They have those daily things enabled. Flexpool offers Polygon Matic payouts. And then, I mean, yeah, tons. Adrian George says, how much you pay for your mining place and how do you cool it down? Well, I don't have to worry about cooling it down right now, but we will have to get it all. We've been working on figuring out how I want to do it, and then I'm moving. So essentially, it's hard to like, all these pieces are moving constantly, but essentially because let's just say I was the first miner to move where I'm at, and now there are 3 other miners that I'm aware of and potentially more. Part of the problem there is that we are upgrading the facility to 3-phase power and so on, which means we're ending up moving buildings. Essentially, I'm going to be able to, I think, swing not paying for the power upgrade by agreeing to move to a different location, which is interesting. And then a lot of other miners are going to be moving to that location as well. But my rent will remain the same. As far as rent, we've talked about this before. The rent's $1,600 a month. The power bill at full capacity last month was $1,400. So we're talking about total cost of $3,000. So, you know, if we start dipping, we will need the more power to get more hardware to compensate for the cost, essentially, is what's going to end up happening. It is possible that ETH goes, you know, well, everything like mining in general, right? If we looked at something like the 3090 on Flux is $2 a day, something like that, which would be like half of Ethereum. It's possible that we go under, definitely possible. But the way that I'm going to get around that is essentially upgrading the power and putting more hardware in. That's the only thing you can do. That's the only thing you can do. Son of a Tech, would you show how to get the API or CSV from Zelcore? You can't find it. Perhaps it's not available on mobile, PC only. I haven't tried because I haven't needed to use it, but I can try to look into it and do a guide. I don't use mobile for almost anything actually, unless I have to. So I haven't tried the Zelcore mobile wallet. John says, at Son of a Tech, what specific cards are you going to be looking for when prices crash? Power efficiency or density of hash? That's a good question. Like I said, right now, my focus is going to shift to ASICs. I want a 50-50 split. So it's going to be shifting to SHA-256 ASICs. And that will go in until we probably hit, I'd say probably 7 of them. Yeah, about 21 kilowatts. Is that right? About $3,000 a pop. There are $3,000, 3 kilowatts a pop. 21 kilowatts. Do 200 amps of that, and then just start building up side by side. I think is what I'm going to do. But yes, you got to hedge. And like I said, the big push for like, the thing is like, I know now, like certain, I think we're pretty much confirmed Bitcoin mining is not going anywhere. So even if the profitability is lower per unit, it's just the same idea as anything else. We've talked about this before. It's the concept from Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and the concept of purchasing assets that generate revenue. Even if the revenue is very, 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 very low, purchasing an asset that generates revenue is going to be better than basically just buying a coin, etc. Take today, for example. Yes, our mining revenue is down, but we're still generating revenue. If I would have just bought Ethereum yesterday, for example, I'd be screwed right now. Instead, I have graphics cards. I have assets that are generating revenue. All right. That's why we mine. That's why to generate long-term wealth, that's why we mine instead of just trade. All right, Daniel asks, can you do a video on how to use the helium? After trying to research it, just going in circles. Everyone wants to talk about mining it. Yeah, I'm still waiting for my chain to sync. I am relayed, so that's good. I finally got it relayed. I had to go like move it around, put it in the friggin' attic or whatever to get higher. And so I'm waiting for the relay to complete. Once the relay is complete, then I'll have a review and be able to talk about it. It's been a week. It's the chain syncing. It's super slow. I know a lot of people recommend bigger antennas. I'm going to work on that, and we're going to try to figure out how this all functions. But helium mining seems to be very, very, very slow. I'm assuming the profitability's gone down a lot as well, because wasn't it something like it dropped insane amounts, didn't it? It was like one of the 20% drops? Maybe not. Okay. It dropped. No, it had a big drop. Yeah, it just dropped another 2%. So it went down from 31 to $25. So I'm sure the profitability is even worse than it was. Christian says, "That son of a tech, what specific cards are you going?" Oh yeah, we already did that one. Hey, there you go. Joku Baskas. Did I get that right? I'm going to call you Alvidas. Says, "Thank you, son of a tech. I started following you a year ago. You got for free 3 video cards, 3060, 3060, and 3070, and several PCs, but made a profit." There you go. Congratulations. Hugo Down says, "At son of a tech, love the channel. You give the information that other YouTubers keep for themselves." I try to. We get yelled at sometimes. It's okay. The Mining King says, "Thank you for the $20, Mining King." Did we catch the $9.99? Yeah, Adrian just gave the $9.99. All right. Thank you, Adrian. Making statements. Where do you liquidate TON? We already have a video on that. Cash. It's called Cashing Out TON Coin, and it is.
They do on Ethereum.
Why did that get cranked? Whoo! Sorry about that. That was really loud. That amplifier. So sometimes the Go XLR will like reset itself and turn everything to max, and it's not good. It's not good. Here's the video. I will share it out. It doesn't have that many views, but that's my experience with cashing out TON. So there you go. Dan Ingamel says, "Considering liquidating my 10 gigahash GPU farm in the UK and moving to Thailand, low energy costs, and starting an ASIC farm, think I can keep cool enough for immersion?" I think you can keep cool enough on air as long as you have the CFM. That's really what matters. Like at the end of the day, I'm not too familiar with Thailand's geographical location, but you would want to check elevation because elevation will affect it as well as humidity. And then determining like obviously like how you're going to get rid of the humidity if that's going to be an issue, and that sort of thing, right? So the immersion stuff is interesting. I know Bitcoin or Bitmain is launching their basically liquid cooled individual units. It looks like that is going to increase a little bit of the not only the cost but failure points as well. So I'm hoping they're going to use commonplace, but we'll have to see. Detroit Irish, you ask if the building's letting you out of the lease. Well, yeah, it's their idea. They're just building a whole separate section specifically for it. Mark says, ask Samatech, are you going to run a Flux node with the upcoming halving? What would you run, a VPS or a home server? I do a VPS in Vulture if I did. But that's going to cost $3,000. And right now, $3,000 is going to be really hard to get. Like, that's going to be 1 month of, like, profits this month off of mining. I'm going to be pretty broke for a little while, boys. I'm going to have to buckle down and really get tight and very, very strategic. We all are. Weavy547 says, where do you plan to buy your ASICs? I have a partnership, a sponsorship with BT Miners. I'm going to be talking to them about buying in bulk and trying to get a discount. Bossman says, ask some of the tech. Sorry, I meant like, is there a difference between the 1660 Ti's versus the NVIDIA 1660 Ti's, or are they all the same? As far as the PCB goes, they're all the same. The difference is going to be the cooler, primarily. The only time where other things are different now has changed with the RTX 3000 series, which you also have power delivery changes as well. So NVIDIA's little 12-pin thing versus like the third party still doing dual 8 pins, and so etc. Pay Me in Crypto says, I'm in Austin. I would love to know where you get 1,500 square foot for 1,600. Did you use a realtor? No, I did not. I used a friend. GG Matt says, ask on the tech, have you ever farmed any actual crops? No, I did ranching. A little different. Those animals. Tactics 272 says, ask Tech, how long will you have your wise advice and instruction? I don't think that I'm just talking crap on the internet about what I'm doing. You have long-term plans for the channel. So obviously, like, the channel is going to end up having to be like a bulk majority of, through times like this, it's going to have to supplement obviously income. What I would love to do is I was working on taking some of the office space that I have and turning it into like a little, podcast thing. I wanted to do a podcast where I have guests in the crypto industry come in. I'm close enough to Austin to where I could like probably get a place. I was even looking in Austin, and then basically be able to have like a Joe Rogan or Lex Friedman style crypto podcast where people are in person and you're chatting. I don't really like any time that I've done like over the air with people. It doesn't feel right. It's very awkward. Obviously, I still do them if we're going to get someone, like a dev from Russia or whatever. But I think it would be like a lot better if I was able to like have people come in and sit down. So that's something I really, really want to do. And then go full force and do like a podcast as far as that goes. And then also I would like to start doing more fun things on the channel surrounding mining, like, but it's really hard. So when you say like going into like Linus Tech Tips style or whatever version for mining, I'm already tired, boys. Like yesterday, I think YouTube, I spent like 16 hours on, I don't have I don't know. As a solo content creator, I don't know how to get enough time to do the things that I want to do. And that's kind of where I'm sitting at. And it's like, I didn't even work out yesterday. So then I'm down as far as that goes. Then I'm tired. So I sleep too late. And I don't know. I'm trying to find the balance, and I don't know where that balance is going to come in and what that's going to enable me to do. Like, I would love to do LTT style, but like, you need somebody to film you. I don't really have anybody to film me. Also, there's something like, a lot of people don't get this, but like, I've been working really, really hard on this along with doing a day job. And before, March, when I quit it, for like 10 years. And so what that translates into in your personal life, just in case you're wondering, is 0 friends. Like 0. I don't have any friends. I don't have any time for them. So like, why would you have any friends? I have very little connection outside of like YouTube and online, because the only time I had was to go to work. And then, so I don't even have like somebody that I can call and be like, hey, would you film me for a video today? Like, I don't have that. Right. I'm trying to rebuild that up. Like I said, I felt like I didn't even have a life until like March of this year. Like, no life. Like, it was like literally like just work all the time. So when people are like, oh, well, you got this channel, blah, 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 and it's so awesome. It's like, yeah. But I sacrificed like 10 years, like trying to figure it out. And it's going to happen again, right? So my point being is like, there are solutions. I'm trying to figure those solutions out. What I want to do with the channel is like something that like, there's a lot of ideas, a lot of things I want to do with it. I just got to figure out how I'm doing it. So, we'll figure it out. But obviously, like, also part of that is like, everything's down. I can't afford to hire anybody. I'm figuring out, like, oh, okay, cool. We got tax season and literally the markets have taken a dump. So we got to like, the stress is high. It is what it is. It is what it is. It is what it is. Let's go ahead and get it wrapped up for the day. I just wanted to give you guys a little perspective on how that all functions, right? So like, if you want to do something like I did, it just depends on who you are. Like, there are people that accelerate extremely quickly. And you could have that possibility. And I still would encourage you to find any way you can generate additional revenue for yourself. I think some of the regrets I have, though, is like, obviously, like not spending enough time with the family, not nurturing friendships, that sort of thing. So there you go. Thanks everybody for the kind words in chat. I have a lot of clips coming out. And then I need to go to the farm and build. And then what else do I need to do? I don't know. Check out the videos. We have a lot of videos that are coming out and all the clips. So what we're going to do is end it. And then I'm trying to think so I was going to try to do the helium review, but that's not going to happen. That's chain's got to sync. But I do have some stuff to go build out. I also need to move my 38 or 3090s around. They're not doing what they need to do. But keep calm, mine on. Buy the t-shirt if you need a reminder down below the video. And I will see you next Tuesday. So one of the weird things is sometimes you guys say I end this way too early. So I'm going to try to make sure that the full thing goes through the ending. Motorcycle videos don't get any views. We've done them before.